So there's 3 things you need to know about Texas. 1, don't mess with Texas or Chris LeDoux's hat, or any hat for that matter. 2, we got the best fish catching rig out there, anywhere. And 3, it's hotter than 2 rap. What's up everybody? Welcome back to Whippoorwill Outdoors. I'm going to tell you some of my secrets to the Texas rig. Alright, so this is how I use the Texas rig. A lot of people use it in many different ways, but this is personally what works for me and what I've caught fish on. Alright, so what is a Texas rig? Alright, so this is just the style in which you put the bait on the hook. So the first thing you're going to start with is your hook. I use a heavy wire hook just like this. It will be curved at the bottom, offset up here at the top. This is typically what I use. Either 3/0 or 4/0 works great for most baits. You can also use one this style. Again, it's still offset, but it doesn't have the deep bow in the bottom. This one works pretty well. I just prefer the other one. Next thing you're gonna need is your bait. You go down the aisle at any sporting goods place, it's gonna have a ton of soft plastics. The majority of those you can use on a Texas rig. Third thing you can have is a bullet weight like this. This is optional. Some people use weightless. A lot of people prefer to have a bullet on there though. It just helps getting the bait down faster, especially if you're fishing in deeper water. You know, 10, 12 foot, you're gonna want a weight on there. So this is a 3/16 bullet weight I'm using for filming purposes. I typically would not go this heavy unless I am fishing, you know, 8, 10 foot, something like that. 1/4 ounce is typically what I use, or even smaller than that if I'm fishing real shallow. Alright, so how we're gonna rig this. So I got my bullet weight. I'm gonna start in small end first on the line. Once you get that, oh, fish jumping. Once you get that through, I'm just gonna let that fall. Next we're gonna put on our hook. So I'll do another video going in more depth on some ways to tie this line on. But an easy way to do it, you're just gonna spin this. Typically go 8 to 10 times. And then you're just going to feed this back through the first loop. And then you're going to go back through the large loop. So once you have that through, just pull it tight. And keep pulling down until it cinches the knot down. Whoa. Looks like we had a huge air pocket right there. That was scary. Oh man. Alright, so you're going to cinch it all the way down until it gets tight. Now I typically make sure it's down there all the way and then give it a few tugs. You got a lot of line left over, as you can see there. You can have a knife, you can have line cutters. They sell all kind of fancy things out there, but the best thing I have found is a pair of fingernail clippers, and I typically just leave a little tag on it, just like that. So just a little bit of line. That way if it slips a little bit, should be good to go. At least you got a chance, right? Alright, so right now this is what it should look like. We have our weight and then we have our hook. Alright, so the easiest way to put on your bait, you're just going to take your hook, turn it upside down like this, with the hook actually facing down. Alright, so today we're going to use our trick worm here. So we have our hook down. We're going to have the top part of our bait, whatever it may be. This part with the eyes on it, the part with the ridges, whatever you want the top to be, you're going to face it out. Then you're going to go through the top, through the very center, bring it down about 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch to 1/4. Then you're going to move this all the way down to the top, so it feeds over that offset portion. I like to do 1/2 inch because it covers up that knot on the line there. And then you're going to pull this taut. I use my finger to find the end of the hook and to judge where I need to go through. So I just pinch it with my thumb and then go through in that spot. This one actually has letters on the bottom. It says zoom. right where you need to go through. So that's also another guide. So once you have it on just like that, you can skin hook it. All you do is pull forward, bring it up, and then go through just like that. So now with it skin hooked, this is pretty much weedless. The biggest thing you're gonna have is if the weight gets caught in between a rock or a tree limb or something like that and gets stuck that way. All right, I'm gonna put my hat on because it is getting hot out here. Some of the baits that I use for the Texas rig. My favorite is a brush hog, typically green pumpkin. Again, if the fish can't see very well, this has a lot of action to it. So all these appendages moving causes a lot of vibration in the water. That's also why I like to have a small weight. If you use this weightless in muddy water, they're not gonna be able to feel these appendages moving. If it has a little weight on the front, it's gonna pull it down faster, which is gonna cause these to vibrate more. If I'm getting a lot of strikes, but I'm missing a lot of fish, that's whenever I will go down to the smaller size. Next, I like a ribbon tail worm. So, ribbon tail worms, I always thought they were super old school and we had all these new baits that are way fancier and way nicer and catch more fish. That's not the case. I started using these things and they are awesome in my opinion. I heard someone say ribbon tails never stopped catching fish, we just stopped using them. So I would say that's true. In my opinion, this is one of the best baits you can use on a Texas rig. Next you have lizards. So, lizards are great. They're a little harder to throw if you're using smaller weights, but still work awesome. If I'm pitching around grass, I always have a lot of success using our lizard. One of my favorites are a Senko style worm, very similar to our trick worm. Still awesome bait to use. They come in all kind of colors. So, and don't forget our trick worm. Always a great bait to use around cover. You know, you have a lot of action in this tail whenever you're dragging it along. Looks great. Now another great bait to use is the old crawl. So they already have a lot of heft to them, which makes it easy to use weightless. Also, those appendages make a lot of action in the water. These put off a lot of vibration, so in deep water, those fish are more apt to strike something like this versus like the Senko that doesn't have a lot of movement to it, a lot of vibration. Colors are going to greatly depend on the water clarity. If the water's dark, you want to start dark. If the water is clear, you want to start with lighter colors. Where I fish is typically dark, stained, or muddy water. So another little secret, I typically start off with something natural. So green pumpkin, excellent way to start. You want to stay in the brown, green type area, have a little flake in there, a little black flake or something like that. Works great typically, but not always. So if green pumpkin or a natural color isn't working, I just go dark. So something like this black lizard, June bug is a great color. So if you're gonna go darker, go with June bug or a black, maybe something with a little flake. This one has purple and red in it. So we started off natural, we went to the darks, still not working. So now I'll go to something natural with a little more flake in it. So this is still a natural color, but it's got a lot of purple and blue flake in it, which again, you're trying to get something a little more shiny, a little more noticeable in the water. So if none of those work, these are one of my favorite things to throw. The Tequila Sunrise color, or something else with more color in it, such as this. It's got chartreuse on the tail, so it gives it a little more visibility. And then if I'm still not catching, then I just reach in there and I go for something crazy. So you have pumpkin pie, this color is awesome, or you have something like the electric shad. You know, now I'm just trying anything and everything to see what they're gonna hit on. Sometimes they want a gray color like this, sometimes they want a natural color. It just all depends on the fish. It's really hot out here, so I was trying to find some shade. Here we go. All right, so this is my biggest secret to fishing the Texas rig. Always carry 2 rods. Whenever I go out fishing, I'll have the Texas rig on one rod and a moving bait on the other. If it's somewhere I've been before, I'll pitch in the Texas rig first because I know there's fish in there. If I don't get a strike, then I'll move on to my moving bait. If I'm going to a new spot that I've never been before, I will throw the moving bait first and then my Texas rig. The reason is, if you miss a strike with the moving bait, you can throw the Texas rig in the same area and slowly work it back. Chances are you'll get another hit and have another chance to catch a fish. This has worked numerous times for me in the past. If you're just starting out and you can afford a second pole, I highly suggest having one. In the second part of this episode next week, we'll actually go out and fish the Texas rig, as well as I'll show you some of the equipment I use. As always, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, see ya!